Good evening and welcome to another WDSU Hot Seat. I'm Travers Mackel. We're continuing our Commitment 2021 Hot Seat debates. Up tonight, City Council District D. We'd like to point out we did not do a debate for the primary, due in part because there were 14 candidates. That race is now down to 2. Both of those gentlemen are here with us tonight. They are Eugene Green and Troy Glover. Gentlemen, thank you all for being here and congratulations on getting into this runoff.
Thank you for having us, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Travis. Appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, no problem. It was a crowded field, so I know that this was a hard-fought battle to get here. Still a little bit to go. Election day coming up in December. We're going to let you all start with an opening statement. Would like to point out that District D will be an open seat because the current councilman, Jerry Brossette, is barred by term limits from seeking re-election. So we're going to go alphabetical. Mr. Glover, we start with you. You have 60 seconds to make an opening statement.
Thank you. And it's good to be here. For those who don't know me, my name is Troy Glover. I am the father to my 12-year-old daughter, Trolia, and I have a 2-year-old son named Deuce. I also just welcomed a new baby boy. He was born about 2 weeks ago, and I own my home and live in Pontchartrain Park. I was born in New Orleans. I attended the best school in New Orleans, McDonald 35, and got my degree in political science from the University of New Orleans. I was raised in the Callio to a single mom after my dad was killed when I was 1, and really grew up raising my 2 sisters. I'm running for city council because someone with that story and that background doesn't often get the chance to run for city council. And I believe that everyone in this district deserves a representative and a fighter for them. I am now the director of an organization that only hires folks returning home from incarceration and cuts down blighted lots, does construction across the city. And I'm proud to be doing that work. I'm the past president of the St. Roch Neighborhood Association. While I was president, I hosted gun buybacks, did Night Out Against Crime, and a few other things. I am proud to have the endorsement from Mayor LaToya Cantrell, along with District Attorney Jason Williams, and looking forward to move this district forward. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right, Mr. Glover, thank you. Mr. Green, you have 60 seconds as well to make an opening statement.
Thank you, Travis and WDSU. I am so pleased to have an opportunity to be here on the hot seat on this evening. My name is Eugene Green. I'm pleased to be a candidate for the District D seat on the New Orleans City Council in the district in which I grew up. I grew up in the Pontchartrain Park, Sugar Hill areas, and have lived for the past 33 years on St. Roch Avenue and Gentilly Terrace, where I've raised my 3 children from birth until young adulthood. I have federal, state, and local government experience. I've also owned a property management company for 33 years, so I have private sector and public sector experience. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to use my experience and to use the things that I have learned over the years to be able to deliver more resources, more opportunities in District D to help enhance the quality of life for our citizens. I'm proud to be endorsed by the Alliance for Good Government, the AFL-CIO, the New Orleans Coalition, the other organizations, including former Mayor Sidney Barthélemy and others in the elected fields, former city councilmen, 4 or more, who are interested in seeing experience work for the benefit of our citizens. And I look forward to your questions.
All right, well, we're going to get to those right now, Mr. Green. We're going to start with you. Let's talk quality of life, especially garbage pickup. It's been a big issue even before Hurricane Ida made landfall, especially in District D, parts of Gentilly. If elected, how will you make sure? It seems like such a simple question, but in 60 seconds, what is your plan to make sure that people get their garbage picked up and businesses get their garbage collected on a consistent basis? You have 60 seconds.
Travis, garbage pickup is so important. It's a symbolic and psychological issue relative to what we pay as tax dollars. That seems to be should be one of the things that the city can do easily. The main thing is to pour through the contract to determine where there are fines that might be waived, well, where there might be clawbacks on the monies that are supposed to be made available if the service isn't being provided. But it's to insist upon the contract terms to make sure that if the work doesn't get done, the pay doesn't get made. I also am open to considering working potentially with the city, providing more services relative to trash cleanup. There's an assumption that a purely private sector entity works best. we have to get past those assumptions and maybe look at the fact that it might be to the benefit of the private sector firm and the city to have a hybrid, to have a combination of the city and also the private sector involved with cleaning up our trash, picking up our trash. But the most important thing is that we have to insist upon the terms of the contract and fine as necessary and take money back if the job isn't done.
All right, Mr. Glover, same question. If elected, what is your plan for trash pickup in District D?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I have a 2-year-old son, and my 2-year-old son diapers was in the trash for 6 weeks. And for sometimes I went around, I gathered a group of people, went around and actually picked up neighbors' trash. And that's not my responsibility, but that's part of my service to community. I think the contract is absolutely one part of it. We need to have enforcement on the contract and ensure that if we say trash is being picked up twice a week, ensure that it's being picked up, and then have a reporting system for neighbors to report back to say whether or not trash is being picked up. And if it's not, enforcement matters, being able to assess fines and fees to ensure that neighbors are getting the services that they believe. And then, outsourcing the contract. When you have one company or one organization that has a monopoly on services, sometimes that can be unreliable. And one thing we know is that trash pickup is a quality of life issue. So ensuring that residents get trash pickup more than one time a week, at least twice a week, and having someone to making sure that we're enforcing that and making sure that neighbors have an effective reporting mechanism to let us know.
All right, Mr. Glover, we're going to start this question with you. Redistricting is a big topic right now. For years, the neighborhoods of Lake Vista, East and West Lakeshore were always in District A. They're in District D now. Do you think they should stay in District D, go back to District A? And what is your overall plan in 60 seconds on redistricting, as it will be up to the council?
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that District D is the second largest district. District D is the only district that touches every other district. So we touch A, B, C, and E. And what I know is that from canvassing and talking with folks every day, not only does Lake Vista, Lake Shore, Lake Oaks, all those communities feel a sense of neglect. Across the district, folks have been feeling a sense of neglect. And so I absolutely welcome and want those communities to stay a part of District D. I think having that diversity makes this district what it is. And it's what we love about this district, having some of the most historic neighborhoods in this district. So my plan is to absolutely keep those communities in this district and then create mechanism and put plans in place to hear those neighborhoods, to listen to those neighborhoods and support those neighborhoods.
All right, same question, Mr. Green. What do you think about those neighborhoods, Lake Vista, East and West Lakeshore, Lake Oaks, and what is your plan for reapportionment if elected? You have 60 seconds.
Well, Travers, reapportionment and realignment of districts is a very important occurrence, and that we need to take a look at the populations and make sure that we do what we can to make sure our populations are evenly spread across our districts. It's very important to recognize that, Travis, I plan to do such an outstanding job that Lake Shore and Lake Vista and Lake Terrace and Lake Oaks are going to want to be in District E, and other areas of District D and other areas are going to want to be, other neighborhoods are going to be part of District D. We just have to be responsible as we engage in reapportionment, not make it political, make it based on the fact that we need to provide services across the board and create those districts in the manner in which we're going to be able to provide the best services. As a member of the Lakefront Management Authority, I've served, and also on the Orleans Levee District, where I've been very familiar with and been involved with the enhancement of the districts in our community, especially those off of Robert E. Lee. I'm going to continue to provide that service and provide it in a way that those residents are going to be even more proud than they are now to be residents of District D.
All right, we're going to start this question with you, Mr. Green. Let's talk crime in the city. It's a problem plaguing every neighborhood in New Orleans, from uptown to downtown to parts of Gentilly, the lakefront, and mid-city. In 60 seconds, I know it's a lot to unpack when we talk about crime, but Mr. Green, in 60 seconds, what is your plan to stop all of these car thefts, car break-ins, and carjackings that have plagued District D for more than a year?
Let me tell you, Travis, boy, 60 seconds is so complex. My website has on it 9 points that I want to look at relative to crime, but we have to look at all of them. We have to look at the punishments, making sure that the punishment fit the crime, and that means working with the district attorney's office and the juvenile court system, and also what we have to do is make sure that people recognize that if you commit certain crimes, there's going to be a punishment associated. During this race, I was carjacked, and unfortunately, It was a very scary thing. But at the end of the day, it looks like we've all gotten to the point where we've accepted the fact that there's going to be those kind of things. Yesterday, there was a story about the fact that we have 25 shootings on the interstate this year. 25 random shootings. There have got to be stronger penalties for illegal discharge of weapons and taking other people's lives into your hands the way it's been done. But it's mentorship, it's getting more policemen, it's also addressing issues relative to blight in communities and others. And I see that I'm running out of time, but it's important to recognize that it's such an important issue. Travers, 60 seconds is hard.
I agree. You got a lot in. Mr. Glover, we're going to ask you to get a lot in as well
So
in 60 seconds. What is your plan for crime in District D, especially when it comes to car break-ins, carjackings, and crimes like that in 60 seconds-ish?
Yep, absolutely. And, we just did a survey, and that survey said that 74% of residents don't feel safe. We also know that about less than 50% of Black men in the city have access to stable employment. And this has been my work, and the work that I currently do. I'm proud to say that we hire folks who've been impacted by the criminal legal system, and that matters because that decreases the recidivism rate. I'm also really excited to have the support of our current district attorney, Jason Williams, because I think if we create plans to one, provide people with resources, two, hold people accountable, that's how you increase public safety throughout this. And then we know that there is a police shortage, so freeing up officers' time so they don't have to respond to unnecessary things, so we can be patrolling the areas that we need to patrol and holding people accountable when they need to be held accountable. That's the plan to increase public safety throughout this district.
All right, we're going to start this with you. And let me ask you this question here. The city of New Orleans is about to get a lot of money in federal infrastructure money, which is a great thing. A bipartisan bill from the White House in DC is coming this way. Give me your biggest project that you would like to see that money go to in District D in 60 seconds. The biggest thing you think that money can go to fix.
Yeah, I'll say two things. One, fixing our streets. Right across this district, there's a bunch of potential to finally fix those streets. And I would say what's most exciting about that is being able to employ folks in the city. We have about 14,000 young people in the city that's not connected to work and school. And I think if we create a diverse and trained workforce, we can use that money to hire folks through the infrastructure with the infrastructure dollars. The second thing is the major corridors in this district need help. When you look at the Dowman corridor, it hasn't gotten a lot of love and attention. And so I'm excited to really look across all 26 neighborhoods in this district and figure out what we need it most and then implementing and allocating that money there.
All right, Mr. Green, same question. A lot of federal money's coming this way. What is your biggest issue? Where do you think that money should go first if you get your hands on it for District D?
Well, my biggest issue is with regards to blight reduction. We have a beautiful District D, but we have also areas of the Desire, Florida area that have been neglected for so long and also could use a lot of input from the feds and also from the local government relative to blight reduction. Kind of because of the way that you answered the question, I'd like to tell you that's the most important thing to me in the district relative to the use of infrastructure dollars, and also providing support for those residents of Gordon Plaza whose homes were built on top of toxic waste and garbage dumps. So between those two, this is an opportunity for us to address in a way that we haven't addressed before, blight in our city. Our city's population in certain areas is down and we have overgrown lots, and we need to put more resources in place into our offices of safety and permits and the like, code enforcement, to make sure that we can go after those owners, but also potentially provide resources so that we can build a stronger infrastructure and get rid of that blight. So Travis, that is my main priority that I'd like to see done, a healthier city because of blight reduction.
All right. Let's start this question with you, 60 seconds. I'm actually a child of District D. I grew up 5510 Chatham Drive. I remember as a kid, you could go to these businesses, Vasquez Seafood, Po' Boy Bakery on Elysian Fields, Franklin Avenue. In 60 seconds, Mr. Green, we'll start with you. Give me your plan to bring businesses to that Elysian Fields, Franklin Avenue corridor of District D.
Travis, when I was the head of economic development for the city of New Orleans, I was the head of the Division of Economic Development, where we identified areas in which we wanted to do exceptional development. We created neighborhood commercial revitalizations, which looked at everything from a potential reduction in property taxes to lower than average interest rate loans and the like. I'd like to see that employed along Elysian Field, Also, Franklin Avenue, there's a corridor near Fillmore Prentice that really needs to be developed, but also Diamond Road and also Desire, Florida. Neighborhood commercial revitalization zones will be a part of my administration because they've worked. They worked on Magazine Street. They worked on Ferret Street. They will work there too. We can provide some incentives for locals to want to be on those corridors. And I emphasize locals because that's exactly what I'll try to achieve. So neighborhood commercial revitalization district where there are special incentives. They've been shown to work in the past. I'd like to see them expanded to more than just Franklin and Elysian Fields, but Desire, Florida, and also Diamond and maybe other corridors. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Glover, same question. What is your plan for business for Elysian Fields, Franklin? But as Mr. Green said, for the entire district as a whole, give us your plan in 60 seconds.
Yeah, I had a business leaders roundtable. One of the biggest concerns is around business attraction and retention, and making sure that we have a diverse and trained workforce for people to, one, get employed, stay employed, but be able to be the backbone behind the businesses that operate in this district. I think providing capital to small business, Black-owned businesses is key, right? Because we know that after 4 or 5 years, a business can start, but my goal is for businesses to start in the district, stay in the district, and stay open in the district. And I think that's about providing capital and providing a diverse and trained workforce so people can have folks to hire to actually keep their business going. And that's in a Diamond corridor, that's on Elysian Fields. In Pontchartrain Park, where I own my home, the closest restaurant we have is Munch Factory. And I love Munch Factory, but we should have more options than that because Gentilly dollars should be able to stay in Gentilly and the district dollars should be able to stay in the district. And that's the plan.
All right, a lot. I'm going to give you all 30 seconds for this answer because we want to give you all a minute to do closing statements. Mr. Glover, 30 seconds. What is your plan to make sure Entergy keeps the power on after we deal with natural disasters? I hate to do it in 30 seconds, but we do want to give you all a chance to make a robust closing argument.
Absolutely. I'll be quick. Enforcement. So I'm never voting in favor of a rate increase for residents. We just saw a study where Entergy is taking a $4.1 billion hike from the storm damages and want to pass that down to ratepayers. That should absolutely not be passed down to ratepayers. We should hold them accountable and ensure that folks aren't cost burdened by utilities in the way that they currently are. So protecting residents and ensuring that folks can be able to live and stay and hold Entergy accountable as the city council has the authority to do so.
All right, Mr. Green, same question. What's your plan for Entergy following a natural disaster to make sure the power stays on in 30 seconds?
Well, following natural disasters is no different than, very honestly, in some respects, keeping the power on at all times. There are rolling power blackouts that take place now, but I'd like to look at changing some components of the contract that the city of New Orleans has to create more accountability. But I also want to, Travis, discuss and have an open discussion regarding whether or not a completely privately run utility system here is maybe the best for the city of New Orleans. Let's think about some options where we can invest public dollars in some of our infrastructure, and that may involve partial municipalization or a hybrid of municipalization. I want to see those kind of things happen. But to enforce the contract, Travis, that's the aim at the end of the day, to make sure that monies come back to the city if those terms aren't abided by.
Okay, I wish we could talk more about District D because it's such a big, diverse district. Unfortunately, we do have to squeeze this in to a newscast. We really want to give you all a chance to make a robust closing remark. You have 60 seconds each. We're going to go in reverse order, Mr. Green, then Mr. Glover. So, Mr. Green, you have 60 seconds to make a closing statement and let people know why you feel you're the best candidate for them come December 11th.
I'm so pleased to have an opportunity to participate in a runoff to continue to speak to our citizens as I've been doing on a daily basis. I finished first in the primary election with nearly 6,000 votes, a great distance between me and the second place finisher, Mr. Glover. But I'm confident that our citizens want to have experience and motivation that has been proven to get the services and resources done that we need to our district to enhance the quality of life. I have federal, state, and local government experience. I have private sector experience. I've lived in this district for all of my life. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to bring in more resources to our district and good, responsible legislation, looking at all of the amazing and awesome responsibilities of the council relative to hearings, relative to other actions, including investigations, to make sure that our tax dollars are spent effectively. I'm endorsed by a number of elected officials, President Former, and again, the Alliance for Good Government, the Times-Picayune, the Coalition, the New Orleans Coalition, and other organizations that know that it takes working together to get the things done that we want to get done. Thank you very much, WDSU and Travis Mackel, for hosting this hot seat. And I'm number 57 on the ballot. Eugene Green. The election starts early voting on Saturday, the 27th. I hope that everyone will participate in those elections. Thank you very
Look
much.
at that. I don't even have to talk about early voting now since you gave the date. So,
Yep,
Mr. Glover, we're going to end with you. You have 60 seconds to make a closing statement. Let people know why you feel you're the best candidate for them.
Yeah, I want to thank you for this time, and I specifically want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to connect with the residents in this district, the district that I love. You know, we are in such a pivotal time in the city history, from trash not being picked up, streets are broken, services are unreliable, and kids are dying on the street, and people can't afford to keep a roof over their head. And my campaign has been rooted in saying yes. You know, when city government, when several entities said no, my campaign, the work I've done has been about saying yes. And that work speaks for itself. As the president of the St. Roch Neighborhood Association, my work in the nonprofit space, passing policies to running after school programs and the like, you know, I'm excited to continue my service to this district. And I'm proud to have the support of Mayor Cantrell and District Attorney Jason Williams as we work together to build more reliable services in this district. And I ask for your support, and I ask for your vote. Troy Glover, number 56 on the ballot. And I'll say I am most proud of the fact that we had 14 individuals decided to run for office, and folks took the chance to take a stake in this. And I'm happiest to say that 11,000 people, even though Mr. Green finished with 33%, 11,000 people wanted different. And I'm excited to bring fresh and newer ideas to this district so we can finally move this district forward. I'm not running to be elected. I'm running to fight for the people. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Troy Glover, Eugene Green, we appreciate your time. I know you both have campaign websites that everybody watching this can find online. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for the hot seat. Election day, once again,
Thank you, Travis.
December 11th. Thanks for watching. I'm Travers Mackel. You can see this entire segment starting tomorrow morning online.